Okay, well, my name is Barry Smith, and I'm a fourth generation Washingtonian, so to speak, born and raised in D.C., and I moved to Arlington in 1965, right after I graduated from high school. And I've always been a transportation enthusiast because my mother didn't have a whole lot of money, so we used to ride the buses and streetcars, all the time. So I go back to the old private ownership days of the old Arnold Lines, Washington, Virginia, and Maryland Coach Company in Arlington, the May family who owned AB&W in Alexandria, Capital Transit, DC Transit, and all that. Well, also there was some predecessor electric car lines that ran in Northern Virginia that had two routes. They were under the Washington, Virginia Railway Company from 1912 until 1927 when the companies split again. They were originally two independent companies before 1912. And then you had the Mount Vernon and Washington and Alexandria, which went from 12th and Pennsylvania Avenue down to Mount Vernon through Alexandria. And then you had the Arlington and Fairfax, which went from Roslyn and went up along what's now Fairfax Drive and Clarendon Boulevard through Arlington, all the way up Fairfax Drive, through Falls Church, and then and some of it follows I-66 and the Metro Rail line along Fairfax Drive. In fact, Fairfax Drive got its name from the Arlington and Fairfax Railway. So, and then that line, and then they had another branch that went down to South Arlington, down to Knock, down South Kenmore Street. Coming off and paralleling Walter Reed Drive. Well, there's an old story. A friend of mine used to be a motorman, which is the name that was given to streetcar operators in those days, rather than the modern term of motorcycle cop that is motorman. And years ago, they used to connect with the Capital Transit streetcars at Roslyn. So late one night, this fellow was down there with one of the cars to take the last trip, ostensibly out to Fairfax City. So, in those days, particularly on weekends, the operators could take a passenger only as far out as they were going. Then they could change engine, do what was called relay, and return to the car house, which was at a place called Lacey, which is now Glebe Road and Old Fairfax Drive, where the Blue Goose Building is now. So, getting back to the story, this kind of guy got on his car at Roslyn. I was kind of feeling no pain and thought start snoring off in the back seat. So, my friend says, just about ready to close the doors and leave. So he calls back, "Hey, you! How far back? How far out are you going?" And the guy says, I'm going to Oakton. So he was going almost all the way out to Fairfax City, so he had to take this guy all the way out there and before he could come back to... That's one of the funny stories. And another story later when he was on buses was the old Hoover Washington Airport was down where the Pentagon is now, and kind of that mudflat area. And at one time, originally the old military road, which is now the western portion of Washington Boulevard, actually crossed the runway. And they had a traffic light down there. So that when a plane was taking off or landing, the controllers in the tower would flip a switch for a traffic light that would stop the traffic until the plane landed or took off. Well, sometimes it would get so foggy down there that one time, coming in from the river, that he could not see where he was going, so he had a couple of passengers step out alongside either fender of his bus, and this is one of the old engine in front buses that were... and the passenger would bang on the fender as they went crawling across there, and then they would go through Queen City, the old Queen City, and then go up Johnson's Hill, and up that way. that was another old transit story. I have a lot more too, but I think I better call it a wrap.